What is up, Cabbage Crew? It is Matt and John here talking about more Avatar The Last Airbender topics. Yeah. And, episode 16, we're going to be doing What If, a bunch of what if situations, which will be a recurring topic, I guess, that we'll be doing. We're going to be doing a three-parter. So this is the first of 3 parts. Part 1 is going to be doing Book of Water. Part 2 will be doing Book of Earth. Part 3 will be doing Book of Fire. And then maybe we'll do a part 4 of just Korra stuff as well. We feel like there's enough.
Or Book 4 Air.
Yeah, I mean, we can just do one book of each Korra as well.
No, I meant like Book 4 of Air, as in like from Avatar The Last Airbender.
Oh, okay, yes. I'm telling you, John really thinks there is a 4th book.
It's out there somewhere. It's like the lost episode of SpongeBob with Patchy the Pirate.
Oh my god! No, we'll do maybe one what if per season of Korra as well. So it's been a while since we've talked last because we pre-recorded our last podcast. Also, by the way, if you have not checked out our final review, season 4 of Legends of Korra, we talk about that. John, I believe it was his first time watching, or at least in a very long time. So we had a little bit different of viewpoints on the final season, in my opinion. So definitely check that out. Also, make sure you subscribe. We are getting close to 100 subscribers. So
we have 86. Come on, we need the subscribers. We need the 150 by AnimeCon in 2.5 weeks because we're going. Me and Matt are going to the AnimeCon in Rhode Island. If you're going, we'll be there. Please say hi.
We'll have a booth. Probably not.
We'll be the weird fans like chit chatting with the original voice actors, being like, "We love you,"
and they're gonna be like, "Get the away from us."
Yep.
All right. Anyways, so we're doing 5 what ifs today of season 1. Before doing that, actually, I went to the beach. I had a funny, quick little story to tell. And we are going to be doing an episode about other franchises, not just Avatar: Last Airbender. Obviously, we're going to be sticking mostly to Avatar, but there are going to be sometimes we'll talk about other franchises. One of them, I believe, we'll talk about is Breaking Bad. One of my favorite franchises, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, El Camino. And my friend, who I was visiting in Ocean City, saw Breaking Bad for the first time. Was watching with me for the first time, and we watched about a season and a half from Friday to Tuesday. But the funny thing is he watched all of Better Call Saul and had no idea it was related to Breaking Bad.
You're kidding.
No idea. He didn't even really know what Breaking Bad was. Like he knew how to do. He knew how to do with meth, and that's about where it stopped. Started and ended. He didn't know. He didn't know Bryan Cranston. Like I'm sure he saw pictures, but it's not like he knew anything about it. So like when he was watching Better Call Saul, those characters popped up, and he just thought it was part of the normal plot. Oh yeah, these 2 guys pop up for like an episode, and then like Gus and Mike and all these characters, he just had no idea it was connected to a whole other franchise. So I'm like, well, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how he thinks of the show after seeing the prequel, because most people watch it the other order. So so we're not really yet. Like I think we actually ended the episode before Better Call Saul. The episode Better Call Saul. So he's about to be introduced to Saul.
Okay.
So, but I thought that was pretty funny.
That is funny. It's like introducing the prequels to Star Wars.
It 100% is. Yeah, it's like introducing. It's like It's like I'm introducing some of the Star Wars and making them watch 1, 2, and 3, the prequels, before 4, 5, and 6. Yeah. That's. I wonder how someone would watch that. Luke, I am your father, and they're just like, we're gonna do this. Like, let's keep going. All right, so 5 what ifs. And by the way, below, comment below any what ifs that you think we missed. And we're going to be doing this again probably in the next couple months, 6 months maybe. We'll do another cycle around all of them. So, what if the first one is what if Suki joined the group after episode 4, Kyoshi Warriors, instead of joining the group in season 3? John, you thought about this topic. I think it's a really good one. So, how about you start it?
Well, no, I just said a what if thing before just starting this episode. I haven't thought about it.
What do you want me to start? You want me to do?
No, I got it. No, I was joking. So, no, I think it kind of changes the dynamic a little bit of Sokka and Suki's relationship because they were apart for so long originally, and if she joined the group that early, I think it would have messed up a decent bit of their love line, in the sense of you're in more of a group setting, you're just figuring out each other, whereas the distance was needed because that I think it kind of helped their own relationship when they saw each other again in book 2. And so, it brought all those feelings back from book 1, episode 4, when they met up again. The episode or 2 after Appa got captured and taken away.
Right.
So in terms of like the romantic side of things, now in terms of the group as a whole, I think it would have given them, and obviously an extra hand. I mean, Suki's a pretty good fighter, and they would have probably not taken out, but won the day more or less against Zula, Tylee, and May if she was there. In their first encounter when they returned to Amashu in book 2, it would have been a little bit of a different fight, I think. I just think she just adds a whole another aspect to the group, where like Sokka has, Boomerang, at this point, Boomerang and the club thing, and where Suki would have the fans and regular martial art.
It might have helped also. It might have helped Sokka grow as a fighter faster.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
And so I think she adds just a different dynamic to the group if she would have came in earlier. And look, it might have been could have been more fun to have it that way. Just more people into the group early on. But it all worked out, obviously.
It worked out.
And then I think it also could have had like and we'll talk about this, but it also could have added another like love triangle between Yue and Suki if she was there at the Northern Water Tribe.
Right.
It could have been a very awkward moment for Sokka of like, oh my gosh, I got feelings for 2 people. I don't know who to decide. So, yeah, I think it would have been a very interesting dynamic, and I would have loved to see an alternative universe where that would actually happen. I'd actually be curious.
Yeah, it would have added. I think when it comes to the love stuff, I agree with you. I think what is it? Distance makes the heart grow fonder, or something like that. So I think you can make an argument that like them meeting, her kind of like having a crush on him, and then he disappears for 2 months, and then kind of bumping into him on accident, those feelings come back. They have a moment or two together over a course of a day or two, and then you leave him again. And the next time you see him, he's basically risking his life to potentially help save you. And you're like, oh wow. And then like it's just like grows. It went from like almost a almost like a rivalry crush that they had together in the first time. Or the second time, it was like it was obvious that he was still healing from his relationship, and she was even maybe confused about how she felt about him. And then by the time they meet again, it was like, okay, now they're together. He's rescuing her. They're part of Team Avatar together. So I can agree with that. When it comes to love stuff, I agree with that. Going back to Yue, I think that's really tough. I think it could have been a love triangle. God forbid, Avatar does not seem like it can do love triangles for what we know. But yeah, I think that would have been it would have been interesting. I mean, the dynamic would have been most likely he wouldn't have done the stupid stuff he did at the beginning with Yue, like being like kind of cheesy and nervous, because he would have been at that point probably with Kyo with Suki Kyoshi. And
As well be.
yeah, and he would have kind of been with Kyoshi with Suki. and she was engaged, like Yue was engaged. So it would have been more of the like she I think Yue was attracted to the idea that Sokka was trying, where the girl she was engaged with, or the guy she was engaged with, like clearly didn't care about her. So she was like, "Here's this new guy, kind of cute, kind of funny, but really is like trying," and like that attracted her to him. Where if he was already with Suki, Suki would have been there. She probably would have. They probably would have never had those awkward interactions, and that would have never have like fueled what eventually became like kind of a crush between them two. Um, so that's kind of how I look at that. Um, when it comes to Suki in the group, it's interesting because there are ripple effects. I think one big ripple effect is you can make an argument that Appa would have never gotten back to the group because Appa would have been pretty much like he would have never been found by the Kyoshi warriors if Suki wasn't there. Meaning potentially he could have been still injured, wounded, spikes all over him, and Azula would have ran into him because they found his fur. So you can make an argument that maybe he would have been captured by the Fire Nation, or at least Appa's situation would have been a lot different, maybe worse. Season one stuff with her, there was a lot of situations where they got out of the team, got out of things due to like luck, and maybe that wouldn't have happened with either four of them, or just because Suki wouldn't have presented them in a bad situation because they got into bad situations because them three didn't know what the heck they were doing. Right? There are so many times where it's like those three were in dumb situations because they just were too ignorant. They didn't. Aang was from 100 years ago, and these two 13-year-old kids never traveled the world.
I have a hot take.
Go ahead.
I think if Suki joined the group early,
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling she would have been Katara's ear, or like her like what's the I don't know what the word is. Like she'd be essentially like Katara's ear, and like have her make sense that like Jet's a bad guy, Katara. Like I think she
Right.
would have. I actually think she would have advised her to like agree with Sokka essentially.
And we'll get to that in a second. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she would have been the ear of a lot of good situations, like even like the waterbending scroll stuff. Like, this isn't too smart, guys. The storm episode that we talked about, pre doing this, we were kind of thinking about playing around with maybe a what if of the storm episode or the Blue Spirit episode. It's like, would she not have gotten sick, and maybe she would have went and gotten the frogs, because it's like, Aang, you got to stay here, man. It's dangerous out there by yourself. Let me go. They wouldn't recognize it. They wouldn't just saw her as a normal girl. So, that whole dynamic could have been different. Every episode, you can really say from episode 4 or really 5 until really the entire series. Stuff in Bossing Say, their relationship with Toph. You never know. Would they even have found Toph? I mean, you just never know. So,
Like things change. It will
I
things change.
want to go wrestling to the wrestling mania, and then Sokka's like, "Oh, she's my girlfriend. I guess I won't go." They would have never ran into Toph. So, a lot of things. Um, yeah. So, I mean, second topic. Are we good with that one, or do you have any last last comments on the
No,
Suki?
no, that's about it. It's a good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you brought it up for a second. So, what if they never met Jet?
Well, then
Can I point something out real quick?
I mean, go ahead. I mean, it goes into season two too, as well.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, really, I don't think Jet's character mattered too much of the story of season one. Um, I mean, it really doesn't. Like if Avatar: The Airbender's story was just season one and it ended in season one, and Jet wasn't in that story, he wouldn't. Go ahead.
the town would have been destroyed.
The what?
The town would have been destroyed if they haven't met. Papa
Well,
wouldn't have saved the town.
I guess the better thing to say is, what if Jet never existed? Like, of course, that little small town would have been destroyed. Okay, fine. But like, in the bigger scheme of things, like if we just skip Jet overall in the series, and he was not in the series in season one, I think that season one would have been basically the same. There was no aspect where Jet returned in season one, or any of the themes or lessons they learned in that episode came back around, right?
I agree. I agree with you. I
Season
do.
two is where his importance comes in because he already knows them, and that's where his importance ramps up. Um, very much in the aspect of how they found Appa. He was a big part of how they found Appa, not really knowing. He didn't really know he was helping them find Appa, but the Dai Li capturing him, knowing that he knew them, which I don't know how the Dai Li knew that. I mean, I guess maybe they can read it, like look into his mind when they take over it. But how did they know that
How
he
did
knew it?
what's your question? What
How did Jet? No, no. How did the Dai Li and Long Feng know that Jet knew the Team Avatar to try to trick them to get out of the city? Because remember, they brainwashed him, made him go to them, to go to the old man that
I
tells
see.
them that that Appa's on Whaletail Island. So Jet was part of their plan because they captured Jet. But
Right.
how do they know that Jet knew them?
That's a great question. Um,
The only thing I could think of is when they take over someone's mind, they can see their past. And if that's the case, then they would see that he met Aang at one point, and they were like,
yeah, I mean,
"That's the only thing I can think of."
that'd be probably the most obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
So, um,
I originally thought, I mean, yours makes sense. I originally thought that it was just by coincidence. Like that, as in, like, they brainwash a random guy. Um they didn't know that he would have a history, and Jet would just do his thing and just try to persuade Aang and them to leave.
yeah, but how would they know that he knew Aang?
But that's what I'm saying is I don't I originally thought that they didn't know. I just thought
They
I thought
know,
they
but
it was just
let
some
him
random
go.
guy that they're gonna brainwash and try to get them to leave the city. And then,
Yeah,
uh,
but again,
I'm just saying
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what my original thought was. That's all I'm saying.
right. Like, hey, let's brainwash this guy, make him go to the Avatar, saying that he found their bison, and maybe they listen to him, and then that
Something
would
like
that would bring them to the old man. That makes sense.
right.
I'm sorry, I was freaking out. Anyway, we're back. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Um, Also, you could make an argument that maybe they brainwashed him, made him just back to be a citizen, and then he does hear that person overspeak,
Right.
and then he ran over. I mean, I guess there's a couple ways you could look at it, but I think Jet not being there would have very much affected season two of how they ended up finding Appa, which is I think
Right.
in the entire importance of Jet's character.
Easily.
Yeah, yeah, and then I guess Zuko would have met him. Um, that would have been pretty much it. Like Zuko would have still met him. He would have just been a random. He might have been just well. If the team never met him, maybe he would have never left the forest.
Probably not.
Yeah, yeah, because
Like I said, like the town would have gotten destroyed, and then he would just go. He would be marching off against other Earth Kingdom
right.
towns. The Fire Nation took over, and maybe not necessarily wiping them out the same way, but getting the Fire Nation out of the area just by any means necessary.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's interesting because maybe the team had almost like a mini civil war after the events that Aang was there, because it is weird that Jet arrives at Ba Sing Se with only two of his people, with only two of his freedom fighters, and then the other freedom fighters are like hanging out somewhere in the Earth Kingdom where they get ran into by the team after the events of season two's finale. So maybe the team like split up due to like disagreements of what happened and how they treated the Avatar. I don't know. That
I
is interesting.
I think, and this is just obviously you know a guess, conspiracy,
Mhm.
whatever. Um, I think it was either Pipsqueak, the Duke, Smellerby, or Longshot that actually told the group like Jet did some things, and
Right.
to everybody, like to everybody, the whole Freedom
Yeah.
Fighter, yeah, the
Hmm.
whole Freedom Fighter squad up in the trees. Um, One of them, obviously not Longshot, he doesn't speak much, if at all, but like one of them, Smellerby, the Duke, Pipsqueak, one of them was like, they were essentially a whistleblower, you know.
Yeah. No, I can see they basically were a whistleblower, and maybe you can make an argument that Jet at that point maybe got kicked out or left.
Right,
The ones loyal to him stayed with him, which would have been the Duke and Longshot,
right,
correct?
right. And
And then
here's an important point to what I'm saying too. And I think honestly, it was probably Pipsqueak and the Duke that probably told the other freedom fighters about about what Jet did,
Mhm.
because I remember seeing it in season 3 when Saw's like, "Yeah, we ran into Pipsqueak and the Duke, the people who
Right,
like were against us in season 1."
right.
It's like,
You're right.
why are you
You're
why?
right. I'm interested to see if there's a comic on something like that. But
Yeah,
but yeah, you're right. So it's probably Pipsqueak and the Duke basically felt bad about how they treated Aang and how they knew he did something shady, so they told the rest of the freedom fighters. At that point, Longshot and Smellerby were still loyal to Jet. They all left, and then for some reason or another, the Duke and Pipsqueak also left, and they kind of just interesting. That's interesting.
I haven't connected that until now. Like
I like that. I like that theory.
yeah.
I like that theory. All right. Well, let's do what if three. Topic three was what if Zhao did not take Zuko's crew?
Hmm.
Um, which would have been a very different dynamic in season two because thing is he would have been still looked as a failure. Iroh was a traitor and Zuko was a failure. That's what Ozai said. So at this point, Zuko really wasn't really on the run, was he? It was just Iroh. I
At what
guess so, because
at
Azula
what
was trying to get them both at beginning of season 2.
you
I
mean
mean, yes, he was.
Zuko? They're both on the run.
Yeah, but why was Zuko on the run? Because Ozai just considered him a failure. He didn't know he was the Blue Spirit.
He's on the run because, like, his exactly what you just said. Because his dad wants them both captured because he sees his son as a failure. He wants them back home so he can punish him more. It's literally like what,
He just wants to throw him in jail because he doesn't want him to get in the
not
way more.
jail, but just like
Well,
just punish him by whatever he wants to punish him. Like however he wants to punish him, he will punish him.
I looked at it as going to jail because why would he want to bring him back home just to punish him? Because his punishment was
Because he let uh the Northern Water Tribe and the Avatar defend in the Northern Water Tribe. He didn't capture the Avatar. Like, he found out that Zuko did not capture him somehow.
right. I I always thought Azula was gonna just put him in jail with
I
Ira.
don't think so. I mean, Iroh, yeah, but Zuko, he's. I have a feeling that wouldn't have been jail just because of the age thing and
The age thing.
being part of the royal, like being the son of the Fire Lord. Essentially, I know, like, obviously Iroh's his brother, but like it's just different whenever it's
Yeah,
when you're an
I
offspring.
don't know. Well, I think Zuko. I think them being on the run. I think the crew would have still left him. You know, I mean,
Left him how?
like the crew, they would have been looked at as refugees at this point. You know, like they would have been on the run. They would have been at this point looked at as we have to run from Azula because she's trying to capture us. And I don't think the crew would have kept rolling with them that's the point. Even Azula was like, anyone that helps these two traitors are gonna have their same fate. Like I think the crew was not that loyal to Zuko. If anything, they didn't like Zuko still. They kind of understood
I
him. They might have understood him more, but they still didn't. I mean, they were perfectly fine just leaving him. Pretty much just leaving him to go to this other thing. I mean, like remember, this is not live action where they were like, oh, he sacrificed everything. Like, nope, he's still the asshole. We just now know why he's the asshole, which it helps a little bit of clarity. But like for them, they're probably like, peace out, Zuko. Like, good luck, everything. You know? They were not going to sacrifice their livelihoods over letting two, you know, two traitors. That's what they call them of the Fire Nation. So I think it would have left them anyway.
I I disagree. Um,
Maybe the cook would have stayed, but
that's well, Iroh would have bribed him with some tea, but no, I definitely disagree, and my main reason is that they were still, you know, le- um, risking their lives by having him hunt the Avatar. So they knew that the Avatar could do like harm them too.
yeah, but
Like,
that was a mission
no
that they
risk.
were
It's a
on.
risk.
No, I understand that, but that was a mission they were on. I guess the way I look at it is the way I almost look at it is if you're like in the military, let's say you have a choice to be in the military in the United States. Like once you're in, you can leave anytime. And you're like, I have a choice to be in the military and I'm going to be in the army. And that's my choice. And I could potentially die, potentially lose a leg, but my choice to be in the army. And then you find out that there's a war in Iraq that you keep going to. There's a war that is like something you're not about, and you're like, whoa, 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 we're going here to do something that I am not for. I'm getting out of here. And I personally think that the cook, the crew, all of them would be like, I am not about helping this. At this point, the Fire Nation looks at him as a traitor and a like someone they're trying to capture. Their cause is no longer on the same like because they wanted to be the crew that captured the Avatar too. They were like, we're on board for this.
Mm-hmm.
But once they to the point where it's like, if we keep working for this guy, we're going to be going to the Boiling Rock. Like, hard pass. That's the way I look at it.
The only
My analogy was great, but
one of the only uh reasons that I agree with you here that could have them turn and leave Zuko is the traitor aspect of Iroh, because they were still Fire Nation soldiers at the time. So you do have or like Fire Nation, yeah, they were soldiers. So that I would say I'd say point taken there. Um, but I don't know. I mean, they were loyal to him at the storm, and I'm still inclined to think that they'd be loyal if Zhao wouldn't have showed
See,
up.
I don't think they were loyal to him at the storm. I think they did not like him. They were assigned on this mission, so it was, you know what I mean. Like they were given to him, so they had to work for him. Because remember, his father banished him, but I think his father banished him, being like, "Here's your crew, here's your ship, go find the Avatar." You're right. Go find the Avatar. Have fun. You know, but it was like, hey, you can't come back here. So if you pass our lines, we're arresting you. But have fun, and and whatever. And how did that crew end up being a part of his team? I don't know. Maybe it was, you know, head
I,
canon. Maybe it was the crew that he ended up saving, and they joined in like the actual, like the Netflix show did. I mean, that's something we both liked, and that's something that could have made sense. But that's something that was never explained to them. So I look at it as they did not like Zuko still, but they now understand him more.
I do have a point.
Go ahead.
What? So in season 3,
Mhm.
when they're at the Western Air Temple,
Mhm.
and Zuko's remembering his past, and he's with Iroh.
Mhm.
It's a week after his banishment. Where is
Mhm.
his crew?
That's a
That's
good
what I'm
point. But I would say,
So my question is like maybe they were maybe they were old loyal people to Iroh. Like that might
yeah,
be a thing. It might,
maybe. I would make an argument. I would make an argument they respected Iroh, and that was maybe one of the reasons why they stuck around. But you can make the same argument of where were they during the Winter Solstice episode? Where were they during the episode um with the pirates? Where were they with June? They were just at the port waiting, and he had another little mini ship. Like you can make an argument that like he's like, I want to go to this temple. Y'all stay here. Me and my uncle will travel up this mountain. We'll be back in 2 days.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of that. It's what he did like multiple times throughout the
yeah,
season.
he did.
So
Yeah,
and remember, he even said, I traveled the entire world looking for Aang. So like there were probably parts of the journey where he was like somewhere else. Like he could have been at the desert already. He went around for 3 years looking for Aang. So he could have been at places that he already went to in season 2 that he was already at one time.
it's true.
You know?
Yeah. hmm I I mean, hell, they could have been just like up on the cliff above and just waiting. Uh,
Yeah.
but like at the same time, it's like what kind of land? What kind of land that it's not surrounded by water. Western Air Temple is not surrounded by water. So what machinery, what kind of transportation would have gotten them there?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I have a map. Oh, it's over there. But, yeah, I don't know. Again, we don't know 100% of the landscape because I could pull up the map, but realistically, it's something where even if it was a 3-day hike, like it's Zuko, so it's like I guess my question is this: it was on an island, right?
Mhm.
So how would he have gotten there without a crew? You know what I mean? Like, what, he would swam there?
Well, he might have just showed up with Iroh at first or something and
No, what
went
I'm
to
saying
the.
is like, would he not have a boat to get over there? Like, if he was just banished, how did he even get off the Fire Nation island if he didn't have a boat to get off of and like a
Right,
legit ship with a crew? It wouldn't have
right.
been one of those little mini crew boats because that thing was like a small little like something that would get you like maybe 50 miles, maybe if
Right.
that, probably 15
Mhm.
miles. So Good questions.
Yeah, I mean, agree to disagree. I mean, I see some of your points. You see some of mine. So yeah. Okay.
What if the Water Tribe? Um, I'm sorry. What if the Northern Water Tribe did not? What if they fell? Sorry, I will say that again. What if the Northern Water Tribe fell to the Fire Nation at the end of season 1?
I think I think the whole world goes into chaos.
What if I fell? Like,
Well,
do the spirits die?
yeah, that's what it's implied.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, if Yue never sacrificed herself, or if Yue was not a character, or if they never,
You never thought of her as a character anyway.
if they never, well, no. My argument with Yue is that she does not bring anything to the overarching story. Now you can make an argument of, oh, what about the spirits and her sacrificing herself for the spirits? My argument against that would be that whole plot line was revolving around Yue's sacrifice. So if Yue was not a character, they probably would have never done that plot line in the first place, because that was a one episode plot line that started and ended in the same episode. So my argument would be, if Yue was not they introduced Yue knowing that she was going to do a plot that made her die. So that whole arc of 3 episodes of Yue, in my opinion, was not needed. But anyway,
You just don't like Yue. You just,
I just
you,
don't like
you
Yue.
just don't think she's a character.
No, a little bit. I mean, maybe they just needed Sokka to do something. They were like, "Yo, I mean, like, what are we doing? What do we do here with Sokka?" Anyway, and it was their way of bringing in the spirits, more spirits. Anyway,
You mean you mean NUA.
who?
NUA.
The fox, the little fox spirit show. So yes, so I think if the spirit died, the show would have been way different, because waterbending would have been gone. The whole show would have been in black and white. The first season's like, yeah, we had to cut our budget for season 2, so we're just taking away color.
It's like when you have a colored ink printer and like one color is out and
Yeah,
you just have like red or black and white.
they're like, we're just gonna have red for now on because that's the cheapest color. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Yeah, so I think that aspect obviously would have changed it. Now, if the Northern Water Temple, or sorry, Northern Water Tribe fell, I don't, I don't know how much different the show would have been, realistically, because I mean they don't go back there. None of the characters besides Paku ever show back up. I mean, I don't think the White Lotus would have lost without him,
Right.
in the finale. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, even if they fell, it would have been like it would have been. I mean, we always talk about, like, why didn't Northern Water Tribe been like? Are you there? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
I didn't get what you said.
Yeah, we bragged up a little bit. No, we always talk about why didn't Water Tribe help during the invasion, and that's one of those things where it's like maybe they were taken over by the Fire Nation in a what if situation. But it is just odd that, it's odd they never went back there. It's odd that they never really even talked about it again. It's, I mean, like, if anything, I think the arc is more important to Zuko than them. I guess Sokka thinks about Yue a little bit here in season, pretty much the beginning, like up to about that episode with the Serpent's Pass. Like, that's the kind of the last time you hear him talking about Yue. Um, and then Aang sees Yue in the first episode of season 3. But I
Right.
mean, there's not much that they gain besides just learning waterbending, but you can make an argument they learned that before the war. So interesting. Do you have any other thoughts?
No, I mean, I just think if the Fire Nation took it over, if the spirits died, I think the whole Avatar universe just goes into pure anarchy chaos. Even the Fire Nation, because like they're out of balance too.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, if the I think I was what is it? The ocean spirit died. I forgot what one it was. The
The
moon
Moon
spirit, moon
Spirit,
spirit, obviously. Yeah. So I think, yeah, I think if the moon spirit died, obviously the show would have been completely different. Like to the point where it wouldn't even been the same show. Like water bending would have been gone. It would have been black. It would have been pretty much black, white, and gray. And I mean, everything would have been every little aspect of the show would have been different. Um, but yeah. Or topic 5. We kind of touched on this already, but what if Yue actually never died? Really, what if the moon spirit never died from Zhao? So Yue never had to sacrifice herself.
well, then that just begs the question of like Sokka and her, right? Like it begs the question of does she does Sokka stay in the Northern Water Tribe? Does she does she come join the group? Or does nothing happen and they say like, look, I'll come find you maybe after the war. Like we um there's no I'd like to know other options. That's the only ones I can think of. Um
Mhm.
but yeah, that's about it. That's what
I think
happened.
it would have been the third one because I don't think they would have let her leave. She was the princess.
Right. I mean, but
Yeah,
like if we had to say like, oh, which one would have happened, I would agree with you. That'd have been the
yeah.
last
Because
choice.
they would have never let her leave because she's a princess, and they would have never. She would have still had to do the engagement. Like that was still a law. So
Yeah.
like I mean, so at the end of the day, like even if Sokka stayed, he would have stayed, but she would have had to get married to some other dude. So it's like, why would he even have stayed? So it was like, unless their love changed the entire culture of the water bending of the entire northern tribe, which might have happened. Maybe Sokka would have stayed. I don't think Sokka would have stayed though. He wouldn't have abandoned his sister.
No, no. Of course, I'm right. Um, I think she she might have joined the group then. I mean, you said like she's a princess and all that, but like she might have been like she
She
might
might
have
have tossed it. She might have tossed it. You can't leave. My parents changed their mind. Go, go,
I don't want my parents' inheritance here.
go. What she could have done is said, "Let me go down and help bring the culture back to the southern temple or southern tribe,"
Yeah,
and then just left with them.
right.
Or season 2, we would have gotten they would have reunited. They would have went and found them maybe before the desert episode, or maybe after, maybe during Aang healing. Like she would have maybe popped back up. But then it would have been weird with Suki as well. So because that would have never he would have been like, "Sorry, I'm dating someone." Suki for the win anyway. Um, Yeah, Suki. I liked Suki a lot more as a character than Yue. But
Yeah,
Yue is just not a great character.
you just don't think she is a character, so
She's a character. I think she's a meaningless character.
AKA not a character.
No, I mean, there's a couple meaningless characters in Avatar: Last Airbender. She's the most important meaningless character, if that helps. Like, she's on the same level as like the guide the guide in the in the Great Divide episode. Little Hope, little baby Hope.
That's a perfect name.
Yeah, there's a couple main. No, I think my biggest thing with UA is that she nothing that 3 episode arc doesn't gain. None of the main characters gain anything from that besides maybe Zuko. I really don't think the other characters gain anything from that, from her interactions with them. They don't learn anything from her. They don't they don't gain anything from her character. Her character doesn't join the team. Um,
So
they're
this is just UA grievance for you.
No, I mean, there's probably other characters like that. I can't really think of it though. I can't think of any other character that comes in for like an episode and makes no impact.
She's the best meaningless character, yet you have so
Yeah,
much to say.
look, she is the best meaningless because there are like a dozen or two. Like, what's her name? The fortune teller. That's meaningless. Like, there's nothing that really.
Aunt Wu is expecting you.
No, she's a great. That episode's funny, but what does she really add to the story? Besides hinting more, being one of the 9
You know what
episodes.
she adds?
Not,
June.
June's not in that episode.
No, but with the necklace, Katara goes there, and boom.
She doesn't lose her necklace in the Aunt Wu episode. She loses her necklace in the imprisoned
episode. It's the episode after.
No, she loses her necklace in the imprisoned episode.
No, but like with June, she sniffs Katara's necklace so that Zuko finds them at Bato the Water Tribe episode.
What does that have to do with Aunt Wu?
Because June goes to Aunt Wu because Katara spent a lot of time there.
Yeah, but that's just the path they're taking. It has nothing to do with Aunt
Wu. The story.
They just put that scene in there because at one point she was there for a minute. Anyway,
no, June literally said that your girlfriend must have spent a lot of time here.
That has nothing to do with
just a minute.
All right, anyway, we're moving on. All right, anyway. Okay, guys, well, those are five what ifs. We're going to hopefully be doing this more often. Again, subscribe. We're trying to get 150 by AnimeCon in 3 weeks, so let's try to at least get to 100.
Just tell your friends, tell your
friends, tell your family,
parents, tell your grandparents, tell your
aunts. Comment below of what if season 2 topics we can talk about. We already have a couple in mind, but maybe we'll throw one more in there. Anything else you want to say, John, before we end?
Here's the thing.
I tried.
I was actually thinking about that, actually. If everyone in this Cabbage if everyone in this Cabbage crew tells one person to subscribe, we will reach the 150 goal.
That is true. That is the truth.
That is your homework, Cabbage crew. Yes.
That is a true fact.
Yes, there is homework at the end of this episode. Tell one person and tell them to subscribe. And if you have to, force it.
If you have to, just grab your mom's laptop and grab one. All right. See ya.
See you, Cabbage.